was street entertainment everywhere. And you talk about music. There was a show on the Riverbank by John Farnham when You Are the Voice was number one.
Oh, mate, that sounds like a dream. Ross, thank you for calling from Narrabri, and I appreciate your memories here. Goodness me, now, there still might be some people listening going, I can't get a feel for how this grabbed the nation.
It will be the biggest event of Australia's bicentennial. It will be the major attraction in the world next year. It is the $600 million World Expo 88 in Brisbane. For 6 stunning months, you'll be able to experience the world's best ideas, inventions, entertainment.
Our next guest is someone that holds this incredible event pretty close to their heart, because Peter Racy is a podcaster and the creator of the Legacy of Expo 88 YouTube channel. Peter, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
I've got to tell you, Peter, I'm delayed getting to you because the switchboard is lit up with people that want to talk about Expo 88, which I think says something about what an impact it had on this country. My first question before we delve into it is, did you actually go, and how old were you?
Yes, I did go. I didn't actually appreciate it until I did a crash course on Expo 88ism in 2011, and then really got to appreciate just how fantastic it was.
Okay, were you a kid though during Expo 88, or a teen, a young adult?
I was actually the company secretary to a department store called McDonald and East, and I was also on the Lord Mayor's Finance Advisory Committee. So I had a little bit of a responsible role in Brisbane at the time.
Okay, all right, because you're a grown adult. Suddenly, all the eyes of the nation, and indeed the world, are looking at Brisbane. What did that feel like as a Queenslander?
It was really quite incredible. It was at the sort of height of the White Shoe Brigade, and so you had people like Christopher Skase, who developed the Mirage complex, and the Sanctuary Cove, Mike Gore, and they were at the show and con end of the spectrum, living off the coattails of the hard work of Sir Frank Moore, who was the chairman of the Queensland Tourist Corporation. And so there was hard work being put into bringing international tourists into Queensland. But then, as I said, you had the White Shoe Brigade, who were sort of set on doing a pea and thimble trick to make money.
Right. Okay. So we think of it like as something that is really appreciated now, I think. But when Brisbane got the opportunity to host Expo 88, how did they get it? And was it a smooth journey to this day, 38 years ago?
It was a very interesting journey, and it had a few hiccups. Brisbane hosted the 1982 Commonwealth Games, and that was the brainchild of Clem Jones, the then Lord Mayor. And Joe Bjelke-Petersen, who was the Premier, was a bit worried that Clem was going to sort of walk into the state sphere of politics. And so he was really casting around for an event that was equal to the 1982 Commonwealth Games. And there was a passionate Expo advocate called James McCormack, and he put forward the idea that for the bicentenary, Queensland should host a World Expo. And Malcolm Fraser thought that no, it should go to Sydney. But what they were talking about was a World Expo that was in the hundreds of hectares of land. And the Queensland government, with Sir Frank Moore, conceptualised a smaller event, a specialised event. And it was just an historical hiccup, an unusual fact that the international exhibits wanted Paris to have a World Expo. And so they defined a World Expo to be any sort of world exposition. And so therefore Queensland, with its 52 odd hectares, sort of fell into the definition. And it was a specialised expo. It wasn't a major world expo. But it was incredibly well received because Brisbane at the time, there was no outdoor dining. Brisbane at the time, there was no sort of late night entertainment. And so all of a sudden, as I heard one of your speakers say before, it was, you could go to the river stage and you could hear Farnham or Mick Jagger or, any number of international acts on the river stage, and you could actually have a meal on the street. I mean, unheard of.
I mean, can you imagine just sitting down for a dish while John Farnham's belting out the hits of his life?
It was quite incredible.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Do you know, the tagline for the World Expo 88 in Brisbane was leisure in the age of technology, which is really novel that we think of 1988 as an age of technology when we look at the world now. But looking back, was there anything at the time that actually did feel genuinely futuristic or a bit mind-blowing?
Telstra, which was equivalent at the time, had speaking phone boxes, which were very interesting. Queensland Rail just started to introduce the internet and technology on catching trains into the site. And there were these amazing pyramids that had these mechanical robots in them that answered questions, very basic questions. And so, yes, there was a little bit of technology magic at the time, and it was at the sharp end of the development of technology, even though, I had a new mobile phone. It was the size of a brick.
Yeah, not much leisure trying to lug that one around, I would imagine. When it was happening, there were some big visitors to Brisbane. Am I right in saying the Queen attended?
Yes, she opened it and gave a really great speech. The person who really, sparked a lot of reaction was Maggie Thatcher, and the site went nuts when she visited the site. It was really quite incredible. But one very interesting and funny story that I can tell your listeners is that Mick Jagger was performing on site, and the best seafood restaurant in the world was to be found on the Kookaburra Queen 1, which a fellow by the name of Gary Balkin was operating. And Gary had been working all day, gone off site, but he wanted his maitre d' to phone him because he knew that Mick Jagger, after his performance at 11 o'clock at night, was going to come onto the restaurant and have a meal. And so Mick Jagger turns up, and guess what he orders? He orders kids, bangers and mash at the world's best seafood restaurant. Quite unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's very rock and roll, isn't it?
Say that again, baby.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so let's talk about, just quickly before I let you go, I mean, something like Expo 88, our text line's going wild and our phone line's going wild with people who have these really precious memories about it. What do you see as the real legacy of Expo 88 for the city of Brisbane and for Australia?
Well, it's part of a narrative. There was the Commonwealth Games, then there was Expo 88, then there was the Goodwill Games in 2001, and then Queensland got the G20, and now Queensland's got the Olympic Games. And for Australia, the benefit is that our wonderful Olympic legacy that was built from Melbourne into Sydney will be revisited and topped up again in Brisbane. And I don't think you can argue, Sydney was better than Melbourne or Melbourne's going to be better than Brisbane. It's part of a longer narrative, and that's going to be really the benefit, is that it just adds to Australia's absolutely incredible tourism story.
Well, I tell you what, I could probably talk to you all afternoon about Expo 88. Peter Racy has been our guest. He's a podcaster and the creator of the Legacy of Expo 88 YouTube channel. You can go and find that and dive into old footage. It's super interesting. Peter, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Take care. Happy anniversary, Expo 88. John, I believe you're in Northeast Victoria.
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm very stoked that you're listening to New South Wales Drive. Great to have you.
Nice weather here too.
Oh, well, I'll have to come visit.
It's going to get cold though.
Tell me what you remember about Expo 88.
I was on the Sunshine Coast, but I was working on the Gold Coast in construction and that. My son went to kindergarten, and when he came home, all he could say was, he could hardly do it, Expo 88, Expo 88. Because they must have been, like, it was big news, you know.
It was.
And, like I say, I was working on the, speaking of, I worked on Skase's resort on Sanctuary Cove or Southport Sturt and Holiday City.
Yeah.
And Peter was interested, and Russ Hines was the Minister for Everything at the time, they called him.
Oh, yeah.
And he bought the because I'd have to drive down to the Gold Coast, and he bought the Oxenford Hotel. And he was Minister for Main Roads as well. And everyone at the time went, how come this new road's gone into his drive-through bottle shop? The White Shoe Brigade. But anyway, that's the way it was.
Oh,
and
88, different time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you faced 25 years if you got caught with a joint, I told you.
Oh, well, John, an important note to leave on.
Yeah. But Peter might know, I think that the Nepalese, they built like a pagoda or something there, and they were going to dismantle everything, and I think the Nepalese government donated it to Brisbane, and it is somewhere. I don't know where it is. Peter might.
We'll have to look into it, John. We'll have to look into it.
Shed more light on that.
Oh, good.